There's no doubt they've recruited well and have really good young players, and Cole Palmer, none more special than him, but they deserve it, and they deserve to be in the title race. And look, he can still come out and say, look, we don't, we're not favorites, and Liverpool should be the favorite, but they're in it. There's not going to be no denying that.
I said this game was going to be a slugfest. Whenever Chelsea and Spurs get together in a game, it doesn't matter if it's Stamford Bridge, it doesn't matter if it's White Hart Lane. It's always going to have goals, because you're basically talking about two managers who have a philosophy of football that means they're always going forward. But what I did see in this game was that Chelsea brought the control needed for this kind of high-tempo game. But Tottenham didn't. Tottenham just brought a lot of chaos. I mean, how many misplaced passes did we see from Tottenham in this game? That's not to say Chelsea didn't have the same issue. Chelsea, especially in the first half, they had as much misplaced passes as Tottenham. But you could see that over the 90 minutes, Chelsea had more of a plan. Chelsea had more of an idea of how they intended to win this game. Whereas it seemed like the Spurs players just had an idea for going forward. They had no idea for how to defend. They had no idea for how to take the heat out of the game. They had no idea for how to manage the game. Especially when you're 2-0 up after 10 minutes. And here's the real indictment as far as I'm concerned. It's all well and good for the Tottenham players to have no idea for how to manage the game when they go 2-0 up. It's the job of the manager to communicate to the team. You're 2-0 up. You have home advantage. This isn't a game where you now need to be bombing forward, thinking that you're going to score 5-6. You may score 5-6. But at 2-0 up after 10 minutes, there needs to be a lot more control. And that's after 10 minutes. But the truth is that after 90 minutes, there was still no control. From Spurs, Spurs just brought the chaos. Never at any point in this time did they look like they brought the control needed for a game like this. We've all slept on Maresca. That's just the simple truth. I said, if Chelsea go to Spurs and they pick up the win at Spurs, whether we like it or not, we have to accept that Chelsea is in the title race, and they are in the title race. That's an emphatic victory as you're going to get to determine if a team is in the title race. These guys were 2-0 down. They could have panicked, they could have lost their nerve, but they didn't. And certainly, for whatever control they did not have in the first half of that game against Spurs, they had more than loads of it in the second half. And that tells me that when they got into the dressing room at halftime, he communicated the right ideas. He communicated the right approach to those players, because they came out for the second half, and whereas with Spurs you just saw a team that continued from where they left off in the first half, from Chelsea you saw a team that became far more composed, far more understanding of what they needed to do. I might be giving Maresca too much credit, but I'm just going to go out and say it just seemed like the Chelsea players had more understanding of the Spurs players. It just seemed as if Maresca just told them, look, play your football. Don't give in to the atmosphere. Don't give in to the environment. Just play your football. Play it calmly. These guys are going to play into your hands. These guys are going to make all the mistakes. There was too much chaos from Spurs as opposed to the kind of control that Chelsea came into that second half with. Chelsea is in this Premier League title race. I really do hope Chelsea can stay the distance in this Premier League title race, because I think they may not have the experience, but they have the quality. And in Maresca, I think they have a coach, and we just might see this experienced coach take these young, talented boys and ride this wave all the way through the rest of this season. The lead between first and second is 4 points. That game in hand is not going to come into play until 3 months from now. So I'm hoping that Chelsea and Maresca have what it takes to stay the distance. And if they can stay the distance, it's going to be a question of who blinks first.